great pleasure to introduce, first of all, our amazing friend who will be moderating tonight's conversation, Professor, my professor, Annette Ingsdorf. And please welcome the man himself who is 6 degrees from everyone, Kevin Bacon.
Thank you so much. I love it. Everyone was singing along, clapping. That's cool. I like that. It's audience participation.
Well, actually, that leads me to my first question, because the real reason that we're here is not just to celebrate a film from, some 42 years ago. It's because you and your wife, Kira Sedgwick, have been great supporters of the Uptown, the new local cinema coming to Broadway. And I think your catchphrase has been, you need the movies and the movies need you. And tonight is one of the great examples of the difference between watching a film, any film, at home and in a space where other people are feeling the same rhythms and emotions. Could you just talk a little bit about what led you to become a great supporter of the Uptown?
Well, I've been on the Upper West Side for 50 years, and Kira was born and raised here. I love movies. I love movie theaters. We go to the movies, I don't know, a lot more than the average American, although it seems like it's getting better and better, We just came from the movies tonight, we saw The Invite. Yeah, it was just awesome. You got to see it. If you haven't seen it, it's really great. Really enjoyed that. It was Kira's second time, and I think that you put your finger on it, which is that, coming out of the pandemic, I think there was a lot of despair and a lot of feeling that we had all separated so much and had kind of been drawn into this, what is a spectacular home theater environment. And I'm the first person who will spend some time, whatever, Netflix and chill or whatever we, call it. But I think that nowadays we're really realizing what a hunger we have to actually experience it with somebody else. It's a very, very important thing, and it just makes for a different theater experience. I also played in a band, and I was talking about that. We had some shows last weekend. Going to see live music, and I think the reason is that, like, this night, this movie could play like a million times over and over and over, but it's never going to be exactly the same as the way it was shared tonight in this place with these people. And I think that to have a great classic theater space where the Uptown is, with a lot of history in our neighborhood, is a great addition to the neighborhood.
Even though, I live on the East Side, I have been a very vocal and even financially generous supporter of the Uptown, because I believe so much in having another cinema that's going to be an educational center as well. Yeah. Not just to watch movies, but to explore and study and share them in a deeper way. I have to confess, I watched actually Footloose last night for the first time, I think, since it came out. And I misremembered the film completely. There were 3 things that I noticed. I had remembered the film as having the Reverend as a kind of villainous character. I thought, he was not your good guy. And here I realized he's not demonized at all. He's a decent guy who's able to rise above his fears and prejudices and evolve into somebody really worthy of respect. The adults in general, the 2 mothers, Diane Weiss and the mother of Ren, they're smart and they're caring. But the 3rd thing that wasn't misremembered was that you are such a galvanizing force in this film. And it's not just that you get everybody to dance in terms of freedom. By the end of the film, you also use that to create community. At the end, it's not just couples who are dancing. That would be a different kind of film. You see line dancers, you see groups and then individual solos. You create your character, but it's you in your physically, create this sense of a community in movement and joy. And I don't know, did you feel this? I mean, is there a particular vivid memory of making this film that has stayed with you?
I mean, the memories were incredible. First off, just to get the lead in the movie was like a giant thing for me. I mean, I had been working as an actor for a while. I was about 24, I think, when I got the film, and I really started out. I moved to New York when I was 17, and my very first movie was Animal House. I was 19 when I did that one. So I had been working on soap operas and doing theater. I'd done the movie Diner. That was already in the can. But to get to be the lead in this movie was, a spectacular opportunity. I mean, I can tell you that I never really thought of it as a dance movie. In fact, when I read the script, and the director, Herbert Ross, mentioned to me that there was going to be choreography, I said, well, I'll just dance. Just turn the music on. Like, I like to dance. I pictured that it was just going to be me jumping around, like not, and I had no idea the scope of what that was going to be. But while I was doing it, it's not like I could approach a character thinking of a sense of community or a sense of joy. I was just going like, okay, what am I trying to get done in this moment with this particular scene? What are the emotional stakes, and how do I feel about the Reverend? How do I feel about Laurie Singer's character, or my mom, or whatever those things are? Just approaching it in the same way that I would any other part. I mean, I guess I've always. I think I'm really a character actor, and so when I got a chance to be a leading man, I just thought of him as a character, as another character.
Of course. In fact, I remember, because I interviewed you many, many years ago, you used a word, strutty, about the way that you approached some of the characters you played, a kind of, a cocky sexuality that emerged from the character. It's certainly in Footloose, and I remember how it is also vividly in Apollo 13 with your astronaut, Jack Swigert, I think it was. Was that something that you were consciously doing, or just physically came out?
Well, I think that I think it was a conscious choice. I think that it was also kind of like who I was, sort of at that time. I think that I certainly do hear music in the way that a character walks, and a character will walk with a certain kind of sexual confidence if that's sort of the way they feel. But interestingly, when I was doing the movie, it's about this kid that comes from a big city and goes to small. You just saw it, so I don't need to tell you. But I was concerned about pulling off being a high school student, because I was in my 20s at the time, and high school was like a fading memory to me. I had been through all kinds of stuff. And so when I got to Utah, we were shooting in very, very conservative 1980s Mormon communities. I checked myself into the local high school as an exchange student. And the only people that knew what I was doing were, aside from the film crew, obviously, were the principal of the school and I think the guidance counselor or something like that. So even the teachers didn't know and the students didn't know. And I had pictured this idea that this kid would come from a urban environment and end up in this kind of rural situation, and would come in with a lot of cockiness and a lot of sort of like, toughness and, don't fuck with me type thing. And when I personally walked into this school and people started making fun of me, making fun of my hair, straight out of the movie, making fun of my hair, making fun of the clothes that I was wearing, and I shriveled like a flower. I mean, I was, and it really informed how I approached that scene in the film. I think that we do these things as actors to try to figure out some kind of ride-alongs, right? They're like all these kind of like ride-alongs that we tend to do as actors to try to figure out what it would be like in the situation. And a lot of times you don't even know if it pays off, and maybe it's become useless, but we do it anyway, right? And this was one time specifically where I really, it was very helpful. Plus, I'll tell you, I had a funny, speaking of the cockiness, I had a funny experience, which was that, so I had the screen test for the movie, and it was a very extensive screen test. It was on film. It was paid for by the producer and the director. They were trying to convince the head of the studio, Paramount, that I was the right guy for the part. She didn't want me to do it, and so they paid for this screen test, and they released a DVD version of the movie. It was probably like 10 years ago or something like that. And on that DVD, they'd gone into like the Paramount vault and found my original screen test. And I watched it, and it was like stunning to me. Not because I was that good or should have gotten the part, but just because I saw in that person a kind of like hunger. Like, I was like, who is that guy? Boy, he really, whatever he's going for, he really wants it. To the point where I literally had to go and look at myself in the mirror and say, am I that same person? I don't know. Like, I much more so than seeing the movie. I mean, the movie is the movie and whatever, but looking at that screen test was such a window into how kind of, I don't know, driven I was, at that point in my life.
I'd love to see that screen test. I may have to get the
You can see
DVD
it.
now.
I mean, it's there.
I also heard that this was the story, and it was based on a true story from Elmore City, Oklahoma in 1978, that there was a small rural religious town, and that dancing had been banned for almost 90 years until teenagers tried to overthrow. Is that true? And to what extent were you aware of it?
I wasn't really aware of it, but I guess if it's true, if it's on the internet, it must be true, right? I don't know. Yeah, I guess so. I guess so. I mean, I could tell you that, I hope this isn't a spoiler, but the state of New York has laws that have been on the books since Prohibition that limit the amount of dancing that can be in places where alcohol is served. And I think it looks like that law is about to be overturned.
Okay. That would be good. And actually, speaking of contemporary resonance, this film was made in between two enormously popular films, Flashdance in '83 and Dirty Dancing in '87. And for Dirty Dancing, one of the things that continues to give the film a contemporary relevance is the inclusion of an abortion scene that was extremely controversial at the time and remains so, given the way our culture has changed over the past 40 years or so. And here, I was actually a little shocked, not so much by the desire to ban books, but the scene of burning books. And I couldn't help but be aware of how much I've read over the past few years about some states that have banned books and would like to go even further. And we're talking about libraries. And you can, when John Lithgow is holding the book over, you see that these are library books. It's not that, these are from people's homes. I don't know, do you have any sense that it means something now too?
I think it totally means something now. I mean, the idea of that and religious figures limiting people's ability to do things like dance or read books or that mindset of the community turning against certain groups because they've decided. I mean, it's so relevant now. I mean, it's what's crazy is that at the time when we were making it, I was thinking to myself, this is a little far-fetched. I literally thought that. And when we promoted the movie in the States, I didn't get a single question about, like that question. I didn't get a single question about its relevance to our current political situation in 1980, what was it, 84 or something like that. But what was weird was when I went to Europe, every single European journalist said to me, "Is this what's happening in America? Is this what you people are dealing with in America?" And I was like, I didn't think so. But check with me in 44 years or whatever.
I have a lot more questions, but I have a feeling that so do you. So if there is a roving microphone, I believe, if anyone has a question, please raise your hand high. So the first person I saw was in the very middle, a young woman there, and then there is one to the right, and I'm sorry, but I'm not noticing all of them in the same way, and there's a gentleman with glasses right underneath there. Okay, so if you can pass it to the middle.
Hi, so my name is Eva, and this whole group that we're with, we're from Bronx Science, and we recently put on a production of Footloose actually at our school.
All right.
We actually have some T-shirts, my question was if you would be able to sign my shirt.
Yes, I'll sign your shirt, of course. Bronx Science? Yeah. Yeah, pass it down. How did the production go? How was it?
The first night was not great.
I know
The second night, oh my gosh, the second night the audience was, oh, I have a marker too.
Now, nobody told me Bronx Science was doing Footloose. That's cool.
The second night, the audience was amazing. They laughed at every single joke we made, even the jokes that we personally didn't think were funny. Yeah.
It's cool because the movie, in a funny kind of way, had a sort of second life once they did the Broadway show, because then the Broadway show became available. And there's not that many shows that have parts for a bunch of high school kids. So I can't tell you, I was surprised that you didn't find me. I can't tell you how many times I've done a video saying, "Hey, this is Kevin Bacon. I want to wish everybody good luck, at Des Moines High School for.
We have another question over here.
Yes, I think there was. Sure, go right ahead.
I just wanted to know if you did all your dancing yourself.
Nope. No, I did not. I definitely did not. In fact, it's funny. I think I'm still a little sensitive about it because a lot of times people will bring me a sort of like iconic picture from. Can you pass this back to the kids? Thanks. From one of the things, it's like the guy from the back, and he's like, and it's not me, and they want me to sign it, and I go, I don't know, it's not me. No, I had plenty of doubles. I had dance doubles, I had gymnastics doubles, I had stunt doubles, and there was a day when I went on the set, and it was my stand-in and my gymnastics double and my stunt double, and everyone's wearing, tight jeans and a white t-shirt, and I was like having a real bad day. Because I thought to myself, do they just want to bring somebody in to say my lines too? Because this is getting ridiculous. I did my best. I'm not a trained dancer. I wasn't when I did the movie. And I can tell you that Flashdance came out first, and Jennifer Beals, also had doubles, but was told by the studio that she had to lie about it and say that she didn't. And then there was a kind of a scandal, which was around the fact that it came out. And I felt so terrible for Jennifer, who was, was fantastic in the movie, is a great actress, and also did a lot of her dancing herself, which I did too. And so Paramount wanted me to do the same thing, and I said, I don't think so. And in fact, it was the first and only time I was ever on the cover of People magazine. I mean, that's not actually true. I think there was another time, wasn't there? Yeah. But they wanted me to dance in the shot, and I told them that I wouldn't do it. And they said, well, we brought a trampoline. Can you just jump it up and down? And I said, I'm not going to do it. I was like, I would have done it now, but I said, no, I'm not going to do it. And they were pissed about it. And so they put me on the cover sitting down, and then they put my dance double kind of flying over my head. And it says something along the lines of the dance double does all the work or something like that.
You know, you do exude, though, this intense physicality, whether you're dancing or even sitting in this film. And you kept doing this. I mean, you then made, in '86, a film called Quicksilver, where you're bike racing.
Yeah, bike racing, yeah. And bike dancing, too. Yeah. That they put a bike dancing, that has an actual bike ballet. And I did a lot of that stuff, too.
Yeah, and I think in many of your roles, one feels this coiled physical intensity that may come out at any moment, whether you're playing good guys or villains. You've done much of both. There was a question with a gentleman in the middle with glasses. I think you've got a yellow T-shirt.
We have a microphone there, and then we can pass it
Okay.
Hi. Two quick questions. One, what was it like to be in Zero Grav for Apollo 13? And two, I was Ren in our production. Could I get a photo with you, please?
I'll start with the first one. The Apollo 13 was amazing. He asked about the zero gravity. So you can't create zero gravity on the Earth. For those of, I'm sure everybody at Bronx Science knows this, but I didn't know it. So the way that NASA duplicates zero gravity is to go out in an airplane over the Gulf of Mexico and climb straight up and then dive, and climb straight up and dive. And these are called parabolas. And I think they're probably still doing it. It's called the KC-135 or the Vomit Comet. And what happens is as you come over the top of the parabola, the centrifugal force balances out with the gravitational pull on the Earth, and you float for 26 seconds. And so we did it as a test just to see what that would feel like, and just to go through it, the cast and the director, Ron Howard. And Ron Howard had a conversation with Steven Spielberg, and Steven Spielberg said, well, you guys did that. Why don't you build the sets up there, and then you can get actual zero G. I'm sure you guys have seen, or maybe some of you have seen Project Hail Mary. It's amazing what you can do now with digital, and it's not that big a deal to remove wires and do those things. But back in the days that we did Apollo 13, that stuff was really, really hard to do and incredibly expensive. So we actually shot and did these parabolas out over the Gulf of Mexico 600 times. And a lot of that footage is us actually floating. We're not on wires. We are up, grabbing. 26 seconds in a movie is actually a pretty long piece of film that you can use.
Wow. I had said that you could. That there's a gentleman right in the middle of the row.
We have a microphone passing down here.
Okay. And that, I think, is going to have to be our last question because we can't stay longer.
Okay, so I just wanted to ask, were you really that jacked when you were younger?
Jacked up, you mean?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
It's great, man.
Actually, I'm much more jacked now, man. I'll be honest with you.
Just one more up here.
Yeah.
One more, okay.
Well, I was actually going to ask you to resume your opening position for the dance number, but in light of recent news, I feel that no longer applies. I was going to ask, out of your fellow co-stars, who did you most enjoy working with on that set?
Oh, wow. They were so great. I mean, John Lithgow, is just such a fantastic actor, and we made great friends. You know who else I was really close with, who sadly died tragically way too young, was Christopher Penn, who was a young guy at the time, and we 100% connected. Laurie Singer was great. Diane Wiest, adored her. I mean, it was great. It was a great cast. We were all in a little motel in by the side of the road. We took it over. we lived there for a few months in a, like a strict, Mormon community in Utah. We were the weird movie crew that had rolled into town, and so we had to have. You couldn't really go out to bars. There weren't bars. Sometimes there were these kind of clubs that you could join and stuff, but they often had, sort of non-alcoholic beer and stuff like that. So we really had to have our own little parties and form our own little sense of community, and it was a great experience. And who else was in the movie? As you saw, was Sarah Jessica Parker, who had a kind of a smaller part, but was obviously on her way to bigger things.
I do want to say a little PS before we leave, because Kevin Bacon is not just a superb actor, he's a director too. And your new movie was co-directed by you and your wife, Kira. Co-stars your children, Sosie and Travis. It's called a family movie. It's a horror spoof. It premiered at South by Southwest, but you'll get the chance to see it in New York at Lincoln Center as part of their Scary Movies series. It plays on August 19th.
Yeah, come see it. It's a good movie.
So thank you, and thank you for joining us.
I want to give a huge thank you. Thank you, Annette, for leading this conversation. Folks, thank you for being a part of this. Of course, check out all of our other screenings this summer, and of course, the films at the Uptown Film Center. Thank you, and get home safe.